music without compromise, the stuff that you go to bed every night and say, man, I like the stuff, we didn't do that well, but it was a very well record put together. We are very happy. I wouldn't change a thing, and let's move on to the next gig and so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, yeah, you got to do what you like and be happy with it.
I think it's really important and become increasingly more important for that very reason, where it's allowed us to make the music we want to make, and may not get the maximum amount of Spotify plays we could make if we had just pigeonholed it as just one type of music.
Yeah.
Live allows to make the revenue and gives us the kind of music we want to make. So it's been tough now that it's gone, but God Is an Astronaut, I think, is moving more and more so into that area of a live working band rather than a studio project as it was when it began. To me now, it's a band that rehearses twice a week without any exception. Every week we do 2 rehearsals, and we write together as a band. We write, obviously, in the studio for the fine-tuned parts, but we're always jamming, trying to make as interesting music as we can. So to me, I want to make music that's uncompromising and have a good live audience, rather than put all our eggs in one basket and have, just a load of Spotify playlists playing your stuff. Because what happens when, and if Spotify should one day, find it's not popular anymore, that means a lot of people's careers could go along with it. And we don't want to be in that situation. We want to make sure that we're independent and that we have our own audience base that are loyal to us and we're loyal to them. And that's what's important.
Absolutely. You mentioned the word independence. This is, I think, the second album that is under Napalm Records, and I was looking at that. That's more like a metal record label, right? How you end up working with the guys is beneficial, so beneficial, as opposed to the other way. Well, be independent and do self-releases. Where you draw the line between these two things?
We've released most of the records on our own label, and we've kept our back catalogue on our own label. The only label that we'd worked prior to Napalm Records was Rocket Girl in the UK, who we loved working with. Vanita, she's still has our Origins record, and I think she re-released the All Is Violent record and A Moment of Stillness record about a year after we did, and did a fantastic job, better than we ever could, and did a really, really good job. But we always wanted to kind of keep it more like just kind of the smaller the better in many ways for us. So we kind of released most of the records after that again on our own label. We were approached by Napalm 3-4 years ago at this point, and Sebastian, just really impressed with talking to him. He said, look, I've been watching your career for a while, and I just think maybe with Napalm we could help you guys get up to a slightly bigger exposure than what you have at the moment. It seems to me that you're kind of just bubbling, but never really kind of, you're not getting German charts, you're not getting the stuff that we can help you guys with. So we said, well, as long as we get to keep our back catalogue, we'll do a 3-album deal and see what happens. They were a metal label at the time. They were very much interested in kind of branching out beyond metal, and there was talks of kind of signing different kinds of music, and they have signed some different kind of groups, to be fair. The metal audience do understand our music as a whole. We've played festivals like Brutal Assault and things where you would think our music wouldn't resonate, but it really had worked well. Things like Forever Lost and stuff going down well, and at a really heavy metal festival, it was quite kind of amusing to us to see that it even worked. So we knew that there was some crossover there, and we thought maybe this could be a good idea, because the indie side never really embraced us as much as we thought they should have. So we said, why not give this kind of metal label a chance and see what they can do. I think it's been positive. They have a lot of followers on their YouTube channel. A lot of people that would never have heard our music have heard it. We did get into the German charts, into the top 30. So they have done the things that they said they would do. Whether we resign again, I don't know. It's too early for me to say. We kind of miss the days of where we can just put out our records when we want to put them out. We don't have to wait 6 or 7 months to put something out. So we kind of miss that kind of freedom. But we understand as a huge marketing campaign that they want to do. And even to get vinyls today, it takes apparently 6 months waiting list for you to even get your vinyls made. So there's, who knows, if we went with a label, maybe it'd be very difficult even to get vinyls made at this point. But we've kept our artistic freedom. That was something that was really important. There's no A&R ringing us back up saying, listen, we think you can do better. They're just trusting our judgment on it. And that was important to us. We don't want to be told by anybody else. I think what's always worked is when myself and my brother Niels kind of are on the same page with the music. And with Lloyd and Jamie kind of, also getting their approval has always been really important for us. But yeah, it's been good overall, but of course there is a few some of the metal people don't like our stuff, and they're wondering where the vocals are, and you get a lot of that kind of stuff going on. But that's nothing new to us. We can accept we can accept that criticism and not lose any sleep over it. I think we've done pretty well with our last 2 albums. With Napalm, we had the Epitaph album, which was written a 7-year-old cousin who passed away, and Ghost Tapes, which is a slightly more kind of aggressive, more live kind of record. Both done pretty well with the fans, and we're working now on another one which we feel is another step, encompassing maybe a bit of Epitaph and encompassing Ghost Tapes and the best qualities that I think that we've shown over the years included in that sound. And we've written two songs so far that we're really happy with, and that'll probably be coming out next year. We have a live record with Napalm this year coming out. It's already finished. Last year was the live album of and beginning, which we're calling the beginning of the end, not to scare anybody. It's just to separate. And coming out, I think it's coming out in June this year, and we're really, really excited. It's turned out really, really well, better than any of the other live stuff that we put out last year. It's definitely a notch above those ones. So we're looking forward to seeing people's reaction on that. And we have a few videos coming out as well of those songs. From Dusk to the Beyond is going to be one of the singles, and it was always a very different song live. It has extra parts that the record didn't have, and it's turned out to be one of the biggest live songs that we have, because it just has all the improvisational parts that we've written turned out to be really something special. So we've captured all that on the record, and we're looking forward to seeing how that goes down.
I got you. That's great. I wanna bring your attention to some tracks. I think I picked the top 3 or the top 4 from Spotify, and I really like that. If you can remember, if not, it's okay. What can you tell me about All Is Violin, All Is Bright from the album with the same name? I think that's from 2011. Do you remember how this composition came together, or how the album came together? Feel free to elaborate on that if you remember.
Yeah, that was the remastered ones were in 2011. It was originally written in 2003. I think released 2004, re-released through Rock Girl in 2005. I can just remember at the time when we were writing it, there was the whole Gulf War thing, and we were just looking at all these explosions happening on the television, and we came up with the phrase "all is violent, all is bright." It was kind of a tongue-in-cheek kind of talk. And I just remember, I'm trying to remember who. I think Niels came up with a guitar line. I think the first guitar line and the bass arpeggio, and then I wrote to some of the other parts after, the heavier parts, and Lloyd was kind of trying to experiment with the idea of going from half pace to double time and a few things like that. Musically, I think we were in a kind of isolated. To me, that always feels like the Snow album. To me, it feels like Icescapes. It feels like, I even remember having Niels had this kind of cover that I actually I kind of took a photocopy of it and put it on the wall. We were kind of working to this idea of a soldier in World War II with the ice and everything around, snow and all around him. So there was kind of very much that kind of vibe throughout that record. When Everything Dies was kind of the last song on that record. Was like again, it was a very much an apocalyptic or post-apocalyptic kind of song. So we were in that kind of apocalyptic kind of mind when we were writing that kind of music. And still make sure that we have those songs live no matter what we do. We still play All's Vinyl, All's Bright live. And obviously we have the All's Vinyl, All's Bright only shows coming up this year as well in celebration of that record as well, which should have happened 2 years ago. But
I got you. Another great track is Frozen. I think it's Frozen Twilight.
That's right. Yeah. That was written after the All's Vinyl record. It was many ways very similar to the All's Vinyl record. It was a little bit more meditative, I would say, and a little bit less aggressive. It was a little bit more dreamy. That's a song we also still play live, and we'll make sure, because we know well aware it's a popular song. It's a very lovely. The guitar arpeggio, I remember writing that first, and had a kind of a small background vocal melody, and that came out in 2006, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a really just again captures, I think, a kind of isolation and loneliness. That was kind of what I got from it. There's this great video on YouTube that we didn't do, but I don't know where they got the footage from, but it has these wolves going through the snow, and just that captures that song perfectly, you know. And so even live now, what we've done, just we've even put some samples of wolves in the background. It's just kind of really haunting. So it's a really haunting piece of music, and it really resonates really, really well still to this day with us.
Then the other one from Spotify is the last March. I don't know if you guys play live that again. You have like a wide range of stuff, and all your albums different. So for the musician, right? When you get together with your brother and the other two guys, well, let's put 2 hours of set list. What how we should play, and it might be difficult, right? Because you have a lot to offer. Some stuff is harder to make it play live. Other stuff is easy to play live. But how you decide what what to how you create a set list, or and so forth.
Getting harder because what we did anyway is this. I'll say this much. Last year, since we have so much time off, we actually expanded the amount of songs that we can play live to about 65. So we can actually play 65 different songs, which does include Last March, I might add. We've nearly represented nearly every single song off our albums. We have them all learnt off. Even songs like Shores of Orion, which were obscure songs that we never really paid much attention to, but Robert Smith from The Cure said it was his favorite song, so we decided we'll learn it off just for that reason alone. So we have that song learnt off. But how do we pick it? One thing that we do is we want to, first of all, the new stuff is Ghost Tapes, and it takes precedent because that's the album that's current. That's the album that we want to push. Those songs go in, the ones that we feel are the strongest songs live, we'll put those in live. And then we'll try to surround them with other songs that we feel suit the mood of that album, but also take into consideration some of the songs that are the most popular. And we make sure those songs also enter in the set. And those songs are some of the ones that you mentioned there, which are would be, of course, All Is Vinyl, All Is Bright. It would be Frozen Twilight. It would be Suicide by Star Live, is very, very popular. Echoes is another one that's may not show up on your Spotify stats as very popular, but live we get in trouble when we don't play that song. Songs like Fragile are important, and Forever Lost is probably one of the most important songs as well. We try to encompass as many of those songs as we can into the set list, but also, as I said, shape the set list to suit some of the vibe of the newer record. So at the moment, I think we have 2 set lists outside the All Is Violent, All Is Bright only show, which does that album in its entirety. And then we do about 5 or 6 songs from Ghost Tapes after that. We also then have sets made up for after that's finished, and we have a set A and a set B. And between set A and set B, we encompass most of the most popular tracks along with Ghost Tapes, and that's kind of how we do it. How long do we make the set is interesting. Myself and Niels differ of opinion on. Niels is adamant that he thinks we should only be playing 1 hour and 20 minutes. He just feels that he wants to leave the audience wanting more. I'm kind of on the side, wanting to give the audience everything they paid for and leave it at that. So we've compromised a little bit on that, so we're kind of in between the two worlds. We don't want obviously our audience getting bored. I don't want to shortchange them either. So I think our set's just a little bit over. It's been an hour and 25, I think, at the moment. So I think that's a good length, and we want to make sure that there's good production and everybody's thoroughly entertained. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing our job right. So I think that's kind of a good length for us at this point in time. But yeah, at festivals we'd probably play shorter. It'd probably be only 55 minutes or something like that, because there's the audience there and not familiar with who we
Absolutely.
are.
I was able to listen to your latest album, the Ghost tapes, and I found it perhaps more up tempo, more progressive, if we will. I don't know if I'm using the correct word or not, but it's different from the other one. I like it. There are two different things. You may like this kind of literature and that kind of literature. They don't have to be one. They don't have to compete with one another. But you guys started when they were 18, 20 years old, and now you're 40. So you evolve over time. The music tastes overall, your music habits are evolve over time. So you need to do what you like. But it's different, and I like it as well. It's.
I think for us, it's kind of. We separate the style and the content, maybe to kind of explain it better. Stylistically, we don't want to continuously repeat ourselves from what we've done, because we feel it will weaken some of the songs that we've done. We don't want to have Forever Lost Part 2 or Fragile Part 2 or All Is Violent Part 2. And what happens then, it gets messy, because it just kind of weakens the originality of the songs that we've put out in the past, and we want to kind of keep those. So the back catalogue is extremely important to us. Everything that we put out is extremely important. Even now, the amount of work that's gone into the All Is Violent album, like in rehearsals, is equal to what we've done with Ghost tapes. We keep updating all our songs stylistically to make sure that they're fresh and that they're, if we can find a better way of executing those songs, we would certainly do that. Ghost tapes, again, I think we were in this kind of, emotionally, we felt like we were trapped. We couldn't, this whole COVID thing had hit, and we really, not that it was written just about that, but we just felt like we had to, like something was after us, and this kind of has this kind of tension to the record that I think has been captured on it. Emotively, maybe it isn't as melancholy, or as kind of, how would you put it, as kind of, it's not an overly emotional record like I say, like All Is Violent. It's certainly it's just a more live, aggressive kind of vibe to the record. But I like it for that, because it's its own thing. And I think songs that kind of represent that album pretty good is Burial, and for me, I think it probably will be Fade as the other two that I would recommend for people to listen. I think that kind of captures the mood. There's definitely a darkness there that runs through a lot of our stuff, and I think Burial to me captures it perfectly. The album before that, I should mention, Epitaph, was more of a doom record, but that was because our 7-year-old cousin, his life was taken, and it was just such a shocking incident for all of us here that we had to capture something. So that kind of just was born out of what was happening in our lives, and a lot of the things are influenced by what we're going through as people. So who knows what record we'll put next, because to me, style is only there to help the content. It's not there to dictate what we should do next. The content will always dictate what we will do next. Saying that, I don't like the idea, and I see this quite a lot happening, where if you're playing post-rock kind of music, it's like you have to release something emotional, because that's the kind of the vibe of that kind of music. That to me is insincere. And if I'm going to write something that's a tearjerker or emotional music, it'll be honest. And I don't feel as emotional as I did maybe 20 years ago. I think, maybe life hardens you up in ways, or we just become more numb to things as time goes on. So it's very difficult for me to write a song like Fragile or something like that. It has to happen. Usually things like that happen when something really bad happens, and in a song like Epitaph, for example, was written in memory of Oisin. So that kind of stuff happens when really bad stuff happens. in Ghost Tapes, we were just, as I said, moving on from all of that and trying to put it behind us. And I think that's the kind of record that we made. The new record stuff that I can just tell you what we're working on at the moment is kind of, I'd say it's extremely dark, but it kind of makes sense because nobody can see nearly a light at the end of the tunnel of what's happening at the moment. It's definitely very dark, and it's definitely very twisted melodies. They're, I would say, bitter, very bitter sounding, with some sweet moments thrown in, which I really like because it offers a kind of a nostalgia and some hope at the same time. And it's refreshing. It's just different. It's not like we're writing something sweet and something melodic for the sake of it. It's put in just in the right way, and I think that's kind of what this record is shaping up to be next. So who knows?
Yeah, that is going to be the one. It's going to be that. Is that one going to be released before the live one that you mentioned?
Oh, the live one will come out in July, and I think Napalm will only put this next stuff that we're working out in next year, 2023. But I thought this record finish. If the touring doesn't happen, we'll finish it probably before April this year, because I think we've got a lot of healthy ideas that you know that can definitely be turned into really serious bits of music. But yeah, no, we're experimenting with different kind of objects and drums and different stuff that we're sampling, and you know there's a lot of interesting stylistically new things that we haven't done before that we're embracing as well. But musically, I definitely think it's going to be anywhere between Epitaph, bit of Ghost Tapes, and definitely some of the golden moments of what people have come to expect from us, some really lovely melodies, and that's something that we're hoping to put a little bit more emphasis on melodies on this record anyway. That's kind of the aim. That's
beautiful. And talking about the tour, I think you guys, if things go well, you will start playing Sheffield, which is a beautiful music town, and then you go to Manchester, and then London, and so on and so forth. Is there any particular reason, stupid question, why you guys go to the UK first? No, you don't start your own country, and then from there it's logistics.
Initially, I think the dates of the Irish and the English shows were happening one after another because of the whole COVID thing again. It got postponed, and England was moved to March. But we were fortunate to do the Irish dates back in late November, when there was a little window. We just got in where we were able to do a couple of shows here in Ireland, which were, you know, it felt like at least that week everything was back to normal, which was great. And we played the All's Violent Ghost Tape show in Dublin and in Cork, and hopefully we can get to do it in March in the UK. Things have changed though since we've been away from the. Now you've got the Brexit thing there, where you know it's now a little more difficult to play in the UK. You have to have what's called a carnet. You can't just drive over with your equipment. You now have to have take a bond out, you know, for the value of your, or 30% value of your equipment. You have to put that bond up. So it's a bit difficult and a lot to ask for us to kind of, since we've been off for so long, but we'll have to find quite a bit of money to put up in order to even to play those shows. And that's unfortunate. I think that's kind of the whole Brexit thing. Whatever people's opinion of it is, it definitely hasn't been great for the musicians, that's for sure, for themselves or for people visiting England. But we're fortunate enough that you know, we're in a position to still come over and do those shows, and they've sold pretty well, so we're really looking forward to those shows.
I have only like two or three questions left. Looking back in your career, any particular moment that are important to you? Any regrets, things you would have done differently? It's easy to change. Looking back, it's very difficult to look forward and not to make changes, right? So,
you know, there's obviously things that there's a couple of things I would have liked to have changed. You know, maybe one of them would be not as putting out as many records as we did. I kind of wished in one way that we kind of were a little bit more patient sometimes, and you know, maybe condensed one or two records together to make a better album. So I find now I just like to take my time and not put too much music out there, because I think there's so much out there, and we've put so much music out there, and I think each band has a lifespan of how much music you can put out there and keep interesting and not repeat yourself. So I'm very, very conscious of that now, and we're you know, it's kind of difficult, you know, every time I have something thinking, shit, I wrote something similar to that 6 years ago. So it makes it more difficult now. I have to be really careful of the melodies and style that we do. So it would have been easier had we condensed a few. That would be the first thing I'd say. The other one I would say is, I wish I had more patience over the years and just a kind of a cooler temperament for certain situations. I think with time, it's definitely, you do kind of mellow out as time progresses. But at this, certainly for a lot of my career, I was very kind of hyper driven and very focused, and it's very hard to suddenly switch off. So sometimes that's been bad for my mental health, not being able to kind of calm down and just be, just meditate for a bit and chill out. So I think I wish I had kind of maybe done meditation or something over the course of my career. But I just think patience is a virtue, and I think that's something that I would like to go back and tell myself, to be patient and just be as respectful as you can to everybody. I think that's important. Sometimes, you can forget those things. Apart from that, what's been important, I think at many points of our career, just having, everything from the MTV plays was important, just to even get, that was essentially our start of getting noticed, to booking agents, taking us on board and giving us shows, to meeting Robert Smith from The Cure was a really, happy moment for us, to playing festivals like Brutal Assault, to Arctangent and all those kind of things, to playing in Italy and Russia and Germany, US, India, all that stuff. They're all little highlights. So they're all, some of my fondest memories are playing in New York and even Russia and St. Petersburg and Moscow. All those things are just, I look back and very fondly. And I think we're extremely lucky to be able to play places from all the way from Turkey to Greece to Russia to India to China. The only place we've never played is Japan, and
Really? Wow.
Yeah, we've never. So, or Australia, I should say, and those are the places we'd like to play. But who knows? It would be nice to finally get there at some point.
Gotcha. What do you do for fun, not music related, when you're not working or recording? What, anything in particular?
Yeah, my wife is a photographer, and she does our lights as well. So she likes to take a lot of pictures up in the mountains and stuff. So I like to go for walks and up to the Sugarloaf, into the forests. I love all that kind of stuff. I do like playing tennis. I haven't played in a while now, but I do like tennis. And apart from that, I do like watching movies and sci-fi movies, probably my favorite, and horror movies, that kind of stuff. I like to just that kind of thing. I like watching good documentaries and all that kind of stuff. And obviously apart from that, what else do I do? I just kind of I like to live a quite simple life. I'm not a very overly sociable person that likes to go out drinking or anything like that. I kind of like to keep to myself, and I live a kind of solitary enough private life. I like to be outdoors in nature. It kind of frees my mind. It's always good to get out of the studio and just free your mind. And apart from that, going to the cinema and a couple of stuff like that, and good meals now and then. That would be kind of it for me.
Great. And the last question, feel free to mention the website, the name of the Bandcamp account, so the listener to this interview can buy your music, and so you can feel free to mention the names.
Cool. It's we're on if you type in godisanastronaut.com or www.godisanastronaut.com, that takes you to our Bandcamp page automatically. We also are there on Spotify. If you just type in God Is an Astronaut, we're on there on Facebook, Instagram. We have our own YouTube channel if anybody wants to watch our videos. Again, I just type God Is an Astronaut in the search bar and we'll come up in the channel. What else would I say? If you're interested in live dates, the best site would probably be Bands in Town, which is, I think, just go to bandsintown.com, type in God Is an Astronaut, and you can see all our dates that we have. I guess I should do a small message to our US bands. It is definitely our intention to come back again at some point to play play the US is very, very important to us. It costs an awful lot of money to go there, but we are still determined to try and make it happen. We do have a very loyal booking agent in the US that's always trying to make it happen. But it may take 2 years before we come back, I think, at this point, because it's just a financial situation. We really need to try and make as much money as we can here to try and fund ourselves again and get back up. And the small things, as time progresses, things like even your, our van is getting old at this point, and then they're changing it to electric, and you know how much longer you can drive a diesel van around the place. So there's a lot of things changing, yet there's not much on the marketplace to replace those things at the moment. Electric doesn't work in places like Romania, for example, where there's very little of those things. So we're trying to build up our company as best as we can and have a good money and resources so we can continue on for another 10 years.
Rich. Well, Torsten, thank you very much for your time, man. I know it's getting late for you, and it was very nice talking to you. I will send you a different, separate mail with some CDs that I want to get from you and the link to the interview. It was very nice talking to you. Hopefully, I as I mentioned before, I saw you, I think I wrote the day here. I saw you guys in September 14, 2019, on a place called Rock and Roll Hotel. I don't remember. You don't remember?
I vaguely remember. I think that was maybe the third date we did, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think Niels was there for that show because there was a loss in the family. So it was kind of nerve-wracking for me. We had to spread the duties around amongst the other guys in the band. It was tough, but we were just really happy to be there at the same time, and we definitely want to come back to Washington and bring the Ghost Tapes album, or maybe even the album after, but we'll be playing the best.
Hopefully when you play here again, or if I happen to be in the UK or somewhere in the world, we'll get together for dinner or a beer or two, and we'll continue in touch. But thank you very much for your time. Thank you all to the other band member, and looking forward to hear from you, man. Good luck to you. Thank you. No problem.
Very much. Take care.